Yeah, a lot of fun. I haven't done this for a while. So I'm Andy, and I'm going to talk to you today about ADHD and software development. Yes, I do have ADHD, and yes, I've been coping with it for a long, long time, but only realised in the past 4 years. It came out. Hang on, come on, work. Doesn't look like that. Oh, there it is. Press the right button this time. So who am I? I am Andy. I am 41. I'm almost the meaning of life. If you get that reference, thank you. Former Microsoft MVP. I didn't get it this year because I basically took last year off. That was due to just trying to find work because contracts ended, things like that happened. I've been a professional developer for just about 20-ish years since I left Newcastle University in 2004. I nearly said 2024. That's this year. But I've been a developer for 33 years. Yes, I was 8. My parents bought me a ZX Spectrum for Christmas, and my uncle turned up in his TVR. He was a programmer that worked for Oracle in Leeds. At the time, that was my career chosen for me. Nice shiny car, computers. All right then, sorted. I'm also a bouncer at weekends, just as a side project, but that is keeping me basically out of the house, socialising, meeting people like Katie Price. And I do get in the odd fight. That was me in June, where I got the actual crap beaten out of me. But nice one is, he's in jail, it's all good. Nice little story and a nice little photo for you. Hope you're not squeamish. Sorry about that, I should have pre-warned. So, apparently, take these with a pinch of salt, these are internet resource numbers. So, 5% ADHD in children 5 to 16. 30% ADHD in software development. We gravitate. Again, 80% of stats are made up. Just take those with a pinch of salt. So, what is ADHD? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Don't really like those words, but that's what the UK definition of it is. French. Trouble, deficit, attention, and hyperactivity, or TADA. Another one I found out was dopamine attention variability executive dysfunction, or DAVE. You heard that one, a few people have. My discovery was literally 2020 to 2024. When we were in lockdown, I was with my family and it came out full force. It was just like my now ex-wife was lucky enough to be a psychologist and did psychology at university, and she goes, "Have you looked into this?" I was like, "Nope, never." But when you sort of make those changes and just sort of, it's hard to quantify those changes, I know. Being honest about it and actually medication and diagnosis. No, I haven't had official diagnosis. The waiting list is ridiculous if you're going to go NHS. But with everything that sort of comes out and you sort of go, oh, that's why I did that a few years ago. It makes more sense. And it's just a little bit of those sorts of things that you progress through, you learn about yourself. And what I'm going to be talking about is not sort of diagnosing yourself or all the symptoms. It's just a few little things that you might notice in yourself or colleagues that you can help yourself or your colleagues with. Hyperfixation, big one. I had an idea, spent 6 hours developing the solution. I finished at 2 a.m. This was me 3 weeks ago. I went to the pub, had an idea, went home, ended up doing work. Then I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning and went, yep, I did this last night. Work colleagues were like, you did what at 2 a.m.? I remembered actually to go to sleep, which was It's just forgetting to eat, forgetting to drink, forgetting to take breaks and take sabbaticals and go to the loo or do anything like that. And you get frustrated with any kind of interruption when you're hyperfixating. If somebody walks in the room or phone rings, you're like, I can't get back to this now, and then you're done. That is the. That's right. Do it. And if you get distracted, that is it. That's the end of your hyperfixation time, which can be very frustrating if you haven't finished what you were meant to be doing or trying to do. This is how you can help. Don't interrupt your colleagues while they're in that sort of mode. But if you are one of these, if you do have ADHD, I listen to music at work constantly. If people see me with my headphones on, nope. Write a message, I'll answer you back later. If you're in an office environment, walking over to you is the worst thing you could do. It's just like, but just take it. I am a principal software engineer at the moment, which means I'm basically one of the team leaders. It's very difficult not to have interruption. But I've got my colleagues sort of doing a lot more around sort of working with that. And it's working, and it's doing really well. Next one, doom scenarios. Can we have a catch up later? But from the manager. You get a message like that, or an invite, or when you get an email that just says, oh, catch up. It's all I'm thinking is, what have I done wrong? What could it be? This? Could it be that? Could it be anything else? It's probably nothing. It's probably just literally, oh, how are you doing? But just, can you write a little bit more on that message just to sort of help me along, rather than just sitting there for 2 hours going, what do you want them to talk to me about in 2 hours? And the worst one is if HR send one the night before for 10 a.m. the next day, you're not sleeping that night at all. So just when you're doing meetings, make sure that the person you're inviting knows what it's about. If you're one of those people, just get, yeah, what's this about, please? And hopefully they'll get used to it. It doesn't count for things like one-to-ones or the structured stuff that you do in your day-to-day life. That's fine. It's just the quick, let's talk tomorrow. And you're like, nope, not going to work. And it's just one of those things to think about, to sort of help other people and yourself so you can actually sleep at night. And the good example is, a new meeting from the manager. This is a good example because I was going on holiday this week. Handover before holiday. Perfect. At least I know what it's about. Information underload. So this is an interesting one. You get a message off one of your colleagues. You got 5 minutes to help with this. With what? It's one of those times where you are a resource, and you've got to spend your time going between all your colleagues, teaching them bits, maybe sort of going through code that they've written and stuff like that. But if you don't give me enough information, I'm just going to sort of almost ignore you. It's not purposely done. It's just, you've sent me a message saying, have you got 5 minutes? No, I actually haven't. We're all busy. We've all got work to do. Give me something more. Have you got 5 minutes to catch up on an Azure pipeline? Or, hang on, yeah, okay. What's spare time? Bigger messages are allowed. If you use Teams, emails, anything like that, you can write big messages. There is no there is a character limit on Teams. I don't know what it is. I haven't quite hit it. I think it's 2,000 or something ridiculous like that. You can write a little bit more in your messages. Include as much information as possible. Don't expect an immediate reply or gratification from your message to someone with ADHD. They will get back to you when they can. If it's important, then maybe ping them again in a 5-minute period. And if they still not reply, then go and tap them on the shoulder and stop them from hyperfixating, which can annoy people, but it's one of those things. If it's important, like prod's broke, yeah, interrupt them. We're all busy. It's just work. Everyone's busy at work. Just actually, you'll learn in the end that things happen, and you do get frustrated. And also, if you do have ADHD, don't forget to reply at some point, because sometimes you might actually write the reply, not hit send. Do that multiple times a day. Number 4, last minute. If you are expecting, well, if you know, you know. ADHDers are very good at doing everything last minute. This means packing for trips, development, this talk. I wrote this last night. In typical form, I went out for a few beers, got back to the hotel and wrote it last night, sat in front of watching the American football. As you can't tell, I might be a bit of a fan. And getting to places on time sometimes. If we plan to be somewhere on time, we will be there on time. And usually I've built into my day for years and years. I'll leave 10 minutes early, 20 minutes early, and get there 10, 20 minutes early. I was stood outside here with Peter at 10 to 5. Because he said, 5 o'clock we'll be there, I'll be there. Didn't realise he was already upstairs. So he's very good at getting here on time. There you go, mate. Understand you might not, like if you've got a 5-day piece of work that you've given a software developer, you won't see anything for the first 3 days. Then in the last 2 days, you'll get the whole lot. And it's because they're asking questions, they're going through it in their mind. What's coming up? What's this doing? What it's meant to be doing? And then all of a sudden it'll just get dumped into code and it'll work, it'll be tested, and you'll be like, where did that come from? How did you get that progress to there? It's like, And it does happen. It happens a lot. And again, that could be the hyperfixation thing. It does lead back to hyperfixation because you get into a point where you go, right, now I've got all the information, I can do this. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't see progress, if you are an ADHDer. I've seen myself do it multiple times. It's like after 3 days, I'm like, I've got absolutely nowhere. And I go outside, take a break, regular breaks, thinking time. And even sometimes in the shower, you go, that's how you do it. Get out the shower, go and do it. It's hard to sort of quantify that one a lot more than anything else. Because people go, you work a 9 to 5 job. No, I don't. I might be in work 9 to 5, and I might only think about work about half the day, but then the other half is outside of work while I'm cooking dinner. Questions are prevalent. So you will get so many more questions off somebody with ADHD than you don't otherwise, because they will be asking all the different routes through the code, all the different scenarios, everything. And in the 6 months I've been in my current role, there's at least a couple that might be ADHD. They haven't, again, it's a sort of, it's a different scale as well. It's a bit like other neurodiversity, neurodiverse. I don't like the word disability, but it's being neurodiverse. You see it in other people when you know a lot more about symptoms and things like that. So with those questions, you get those a lot of some people, and you're like, okay, that's fine. Here's the answers to those. See you tomorrow, and they'll get work done as well, just as quickly. Now, this one is my one. I was trying to think of a thing to actually call this, but the shoes on principle. Now, at the end of the day, I get home. I generally need to go out and do a bit of quick shopping because I haven't got any food in for the day. But if you take your shoes off, you're done for the day. It works in software development and works in the work environment, whereas you go, I've done this, there's no point in starting something else for the day. Yes, there is. Try and do it, because it's the shoes on principle. If you stop doing work, you're not going to do any work for the rest of the day. And it's just one of those things. It's like you get home, you take your shoes off, right, take away then, because you're not going to go to the shop to get that shopping. You're just going to sit on the sofa and binge watch Agatha or something. I know it's new. I haven't actually started watching it yet. What can you do? If you ask your manager if there's anything required for a meeting, ask your manager if you are required for meetings, just so you're not getting up and stopping the work you're currently doing, because when you come back from that meeting, you won't necessarily want to keep on doing it. Let colleagues skip those meetings if they're not 100% required. Luckily, I did put 100, not 1,000 there. I misread that nearly. Allow for later lunches. As somebody who does like sitting down and doing a lot of code, and likes getting the job done before he takes a break or before he goes for some thinking time, that's a big one. If you can manage yourself as well, in terms of maybe going for a later lunch, maybe at 2:00 or 2:30 rather than 12 and 1. Yes, it's a pain and you have a really, really short afternoon, but hopefully get your boss to fill those with meetings and then you're not actually doing any work anyway. I didn't really say that. Sorry, Pete. That is my boss, by the way. And I hope this all helped, because I put a call out, and I think it was Kassim who was one of the people that mentioned it. I put a call out and said, I want to do a talk on ADHD. And these are all my insights, because I got 0 messages. People should talk about it more, and in the workplace and inside and out and on LinkedIn, and do stuff like that, because I have a no BS filter on LinkedIn. I will talk and talk and talk about anything. And it's one of those things. I may be not be getting jobs because of it, but I actually do get jobs because of it as well. My current company love the fact that I have a no BS filter on LinkedIn, and I will post messages about all sorts of stuff. There is still a stigma, and we need to get away from that in any neurodiverse type of environment or development environment. And if any of you lot have anything you would like to contribute, just please come and talk to me, or grab my contact information there. Thank you very much, everyone. Any questions? Yes.
So when you mentioned the idea of not interrupting someone, it made me wonder that there is nothing that gives me a bigger mood point. But I'm very curious, do you adjust your notification settings so that when people do message you, you don't feel interrupted by that?
I've got no audio. No audio. So I can see the notification, because you get so many notifications from everything during the day on Windows. Maybe it's a good thing that Peter did that widget talk, because I might actually use that and build something for that. But it's definitely something to sort of look at. And as I said, because I've got the music on anyway, I'm not really listening for that sort of audio. But I do sort of take that time to go, okay, I've done a good sort of section of code or a few tests. Let's check notifications just to make sure that I'm not missing anything important. But that's basically what I do.
We were talking about the last minute section.
Yes.
How you're doing a lot of processing of the ideas, thinking things through. I always describe it as mapping things out in my head.
Yes.
And also like to acknowledge that people probably have a set amount of things they can do, and if you're pushing it into like those 2 days of code, those 3 days can be recovery, and that's alright. Because like otherwise you're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
You can't be a high expectation.
No. Yeah, no, 100%. You can't be hyperfixating all the time. And I think what I do, so because I've gone from being a leader on a team to then being a solo contractor for 4 years, and now being, again, a leader on the team. And this time it's a completely different role. So it's not anything managerial side of things. It's all architected documentation, teaching the team in principles of principles of development, pipelines, all that sort of stuff. I take that time out as my break time because I know what I'm going to be writing that documentation on, or writing the next tutorial for the team on, and things like that. So I think it's not just develop, which I love to do. I love developing, and I've been doing it for such a long time. But you're right, you do get burnt out, and you can't just do it 24/7.
Last thing is that I also fairly unfiltered and there's a lot of both in and out.
Yeah.
Around that end. I just want to say it has pretty much the same impact for me. It might make you look like you're not getting the job.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. I think one of the things along those lines is I've just passed my 6-month probation in my company, and they went, feels like you've been here for 6 years, but also feels like you've only been here for 2 weeks. And I was just like, okay, fair enough. Thank you. And I think it's just in the way that I'm still sort of bringing in those ideas and bringing in that change. And I hope the good thing about this being recorded, it is going to be shown at the company over the next couple of weeks, the talk. So hopefully a few more of the colleagues will sort of understand sort of where we're coming from, and maybe a few might even sort of realise that it's okay to be sort of different, and okay to sort of change that. So thank you very much for those questions. They're very good. Anything else?
So when you start a new job,
Seeing as though I've just started, so I've only been in full-time employment for the past 6 months after the full sort of discovery over the past 4 years. So I quit full-time employment on January 2020, went full-time contracting, and I worked for Twitch for 4 years, doing contracts on and off over those 4 years. And basically I had very little interaction with people, so it was sort of this discovery in-house with me and my ex-partner, that it was just like, and that whole interaction of ADHD, that I haven't sort of gone into a workplace and done it before. So this is the first time that I'm very open about it. And it's one of those things where I can see in my previous work experience where that ADHD had affected my work. So I'm taking that forward and bringing that learning from the past 20 years, so 16 years before going into contracting, is 16 years worth of development that I didn't realize I had ADHD, or you have those little inklings of you're slightly different than most people. But then also you're sort of, as soon as you find out and you go, that's why that happened, that's why that happened, that's why that happened when I was 20, type thing. And you go, right, okay, so you get to learn to cope with it. So one of the things I didn't mention was medication and diagnosis. Technically, I don't want a diagnosis, because I know that you can you did the test, and the initial test, and the doctor went, right, okay, yes, you can go on the pile for diagnosis, because yes, that's very ADHD-like symptoms. I'm like, I don't need the medication. I've learned to cope with it over the past few years. And it's one of those things that it's a part of me now. So if I was taking medication, that would change that could change the way I think and could change the way I do things, which I don't really want, because I'm happy in myself. I'm happy with what I'm like, and it's not screw other people. It's educating them in how the way I work and me learning how they work and taking that both ways. So I've been doing sort of a lot of one-on-ones with my colleagues in different parts of their learning. So it's one of those things where you learn a lot from doing that sort of thing. But I think there's actually one more slide. Oh no, that's the previous one. But yeah, thank you very much for being here. That was great. And we'll be doing that talk again. Thank you.